Good afternoon. My name is, well, I guess it's morning. My name is Patrick Allen, and I am an interviewer for the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. and their Veterans History Project. And today is September the 30th, 2025, and we are here at the home of James William Countryman at 3103 Shadow Hill Road, Middletown, Ohio. Our cameraman today is Mark Summer, and this project is carried out through the Cincinnati-Hamilton County Public Library under the direction of Brian Powers. And we are privileged to do Mr. Countryman today. You go by Jim?
Yes.
All right, Jim.
This thing fell off, by the way.
Pardon?
This microphone or whatever it is fell off wherever you had it.
Okay, just hold it close to your mouth.
Okay.
Yeah. So before we get into your military, Jim, let's talk about where and when you were born.
I was born January 30th, 1940. I understand it was in my grandfather's house over just north of Franklin.
Oh, Franklin, Ohio?
Old 25.
Okay. So you were born at home?
Yes.
What were your mother and father's names?
My mother's name was, what was her? Well, Swartz was her last name. Let's say Betty Jane Swartz. Gee whiz, my brain doesn't function. And my dad's name was James Henry Countryman.
All right.
And they got divorced when, I don't remember it, I was a little kid.
So
Go ahead,
after you were born in the home, did you live there for a while?
As far as I know, we did, yes.
All right. What'd your dad do?
He was he worked in the tool room at Frigidaire at the time.
Up in Dayton, Ohio?
Yes.
And how about your mother? Did she work outside the home?
Well, during the war, she worked at Frigidaire.
Do you know what she produced?
I don't know what they did. A little story about her though was one time. See, I worked at Frigidaire as a millwright for 34 years, and once after I got on my apprenticeship, we got a call to go somewhere for something was wrong with something, and went over to repair it. And this guy came up. He said, "Your name Countryman?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Was Betty your mother?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, she used to work for me during the war." I found that interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So is your father still living?
No.
When did he pass away?
Oh, gee, it was back in the 90s.
Okay, how about your mom?
Yeah, she passed away in January of 72, I think it was.
Wow.
She was very young.
Yes, sounds like it. Do you have any idea how your mom and dad met? Did they meet at Frigidaire?
I have no idea. All I know is their marriage didn't last long, and then after they got divorced, my mother married Alec Croatia. He was my stepdad. That's who raised me until I left home in the Air Force.
How do you spell his last name?
K-A-R-A-C-I-A.
All right. Did you have any brothers and sisters?
Half brother and half sister.
And your half brother was?
Alan Croatia.
And
he died. He died, let's see, 5 years ago, I think it was.
Oh. Where did he live?
He lived out here off of 122 towards Xenia. Not Xenia, but Gratis.
Gratis?
Yeah. Not too far from Gratis.
What kind of work did he do?
He worked at General Motors, at Delco
Products?
No, it was where they make the brakes.
Moraine?
Delco Moraine, yeah. Where they used to make the brakes. They don't anymore. It's gone. That's what I was, Delco Moraine.
And your stepsister, what was her name? Sisty?
Yeah, how'd you know that?
Because you wrote it down here.
Oh, okay, yeah, Sisty Jane Croatia. Well, she's married to a guy now, and her name's Thompson.
Did she work outside the home?
She's got a college degree. She was she had her own business as a what do you call it? A therapist. She was a therapist for many years.
Okay.
But her and Rick just got married, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago. She never did have any children.
So where'd you go to grade school?
Germantown, first and second grade.
Then where did you go?
Well, in 1948, we moved out on Keister Road, where I lived until I went to the Air Force.
What
And I
school
went
did you go
to
to?
a Post-town grade school till the 6th grade. And at that time, we had no high school or junior high or anything, and all those country kids came into Middletown. And I went to Roosevelt Junior High School, and then I graduated from Middletown High School in June of '58.
While you were in high school, did you work any place?
Yeah, I did.
What kind of work did you do and where?
Well, a lot of time growing up, I started working for my uncle, who lived up closer to Germantown. I used to, from where we lived, I'd ride my bicycle up to his farm, and mainly I'd hoe tobacco and help him bringing tobacco in the fall and so on.
I heard that Germantown was a pretty big tobacco center.
It was then, not anymore, but it was then.
So how many hours would you work out there in the fields with the tobacco?
Well, hoeing, I'd usually go up in the morning and hoe till it got too hot, and then come back in the evening and hoe. I did that for him for, And then let's see, probably my stepdad's brothers in Germantown, they lived in Germantown, they had a plumbing company, and sometimes in the summer I'd work for them. They paid more than farming, so I quit working for that uncle. That uncle was my mother's brother, the one that raised tobacco.
Uh-huh.
And
So what'd you do for the plumbers?
anything he wanted me to do. Carry bathtubs upstairs sometimes. They were all cast iron then. They were heavy.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. How many did it take to carry them upstairs?
Oh, gee.
2 or 3
Two
guys?
at least.
Two at
Sometimes the first man could get a hold of it, it wasn't too crowded, but that was terrible. Those things were heavy.
Well, tell me a little bit about the house where you first grew up. What kind of house was that? Was that a frame house or a brick house?
We're out in Keister Road.
Where you were born in
Oh,
Franklin?
I have no idea. And when in the winter time, when the leaves are off, my mother took me by, and I think I know. She points to the house. It's probably a frame. It looked white, but I really have no idea how it was built or anything.
The school that you went to, was that a regular school or a one-room school?
No. Germantown School at that time, first, second grade, that was a pretty big grade school.
Okay.
From what I remember.
All right. Did you have electricity and running water at home?
Yeah, at that time. No, wait a minute. Let's see, in Germantown, my mother rented a place on Market Street. I think that's the name of the street where we lived. And I don't know. I don't think at that time, I think we had an outhouse there.
Okay.
Now, whether we had running water inside or not, I don't remember.
Remember when you got your first TV?
Yeah, I think it was 54.
So you would have been 14 or 15 years
I
old?
was 14, yeah, if I'm right, about 54. I'm pretty sure that's when my stepdad finally bought us a TV.
What kind of car did your family have the first one you remember?
Oh, well, my mother had a Studebaker. I remember that car vaguely.
Uh-huh.
She still had it when we lived in Germantown, if I remember right. I'm pretty sure she did.
Okay. Do you remember the first car you ever had?
Yep, sure do.
What was it?
A 1950 Chevy, 6-cylinder.
And how old were you then? You were...
16 when I got my license, I bought that car.
You bought that from your savings for working on the farm and the plumber?
Yep. Yeah, I sure did. I paid cash for it.
How much was it?
Seems like, I think it was around $300.
Was it 2-door or 4-door?
2-door,
What color was it?
gray.
So did you drive it to school?
Yeah, I sure did after I got the car and got my license. Yeah, I drove to school all the time.
Did you have friends that you picked up and took with you?
Once in a while. Usually I just drove by myself because, in fact, a little story that I just thought of, when I was in junior high and I went to Roosevelt, I used to ride my bicycle sometimes from out there on Keister Road to Roosevelt Junior High School. And the reason I did that was because they had, I played basketball for the basketball team, and we had practice after school. There wasn't a bus to take me home, so I just ride my bicycle.
So was that basketball in grade school or high school or both?
That was junior high, I'm sorry.
Junior high. And what position did you play?
Forward, I think.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure.
Did you
I
play?
wasn't on first string or anything. I wasn't good enough. Jerry Lucas was there.
Okay, that's a.
You hear of Jerry Lucas?
I sure have. That's a familiar name.
Yeah.
He was All-American in high school. They won state championships, and then he went to Ohio State and was All-American, and he played in the professional.
And he was also on one of the teams that played in the
In the Olympics?
Olympics, yeah.
Yep. Yep, Jerry was very, very famous Middletown graduate.
Yes, he was.
Did you play at all in high school? Were you on the team?
Yeah, I was on the junior varsity during my sophomore year.
Okay.
And I didn't play first string then. And I was in a car wreck that summer, and that was the end of my basketball. I may not have made it anyway. I wasn't good as a lot of the guys were.
Well, tell me about your car wreck. What were you driving?
No. A buddy of mine was driving, and let's see, we had been up to Germantown. They had a skating rink up there at the time, and we had met some girls. And they were left, and I don't know, he was following them. I don't know where they told us to follow him. I don't remember. All I know is we went into a curve, and he had a 49 Ford. The steering was loose, and he hit the gravel and started rolling that car.
You rolled it over?
Yeah, oh yeah.
What injuries did you get?
I got thrown out. I broke an ankle, and I hurt my back was hurting, but they said I didn't have anything broke.
Well, back in those days, they didn't have seat belts.
Nope.
But you got thrown clear of the car.
I sure did.
Wow.
And somebody told me, I think it was the police, there was a man there, a neighbor, a guy lived there or whatever, somebody called the police, and the highway patrol came. And I think it was him who told me, he said, "You're a very lucky young man, buddy." He said, "It looks like that car flipped over top of you after you were thrown out." He said, "If it would have rolled over you, you'd probably be dead."
Wow. How about your buddy that was driving? Was he hurt?
No, he wasn't hurt. In fact, there was 3 of us in the car. I was sitting in the middle, and I was the only one thrown out. I don't know how that happened, but it did.
You spend time in the hospital?
Yeah, that night. And then the next day, I think I came home.
Well, tell me, when you graduated Middletown High School, what did you do after graduation?
Well, I worked for J&B Plumbing for 6 months. Another place, I had worked at the Middletown Airport during high school. I worked there for maybe, I think it was part of my junior year and part of my senior year.
What'd you do there?
Just gas the planes and push them in the hangars and stuff like that.
Is that Cook Field now?
Pardon?
Is that Cook Field now? Is that what they call it?
Maybe it is. I don't know what it was. Hook Field then.
Okay.
You say Cook Field now? Maybe. I don't know if they changed the name or not.
All right.
But back then it was. They had I got a little story to tell though that I found interesting at the time. Armco had a plane they flew customers around or whatever, I guess. And when I first hired in there, I remember the other guy said, "Now we take turns. When Armco calls and said, with the plane's coming in after we close, one of us stays because they'd like to have somebody chalk the plane and help maybe carry some luggage for people off the plane and so on." And he said, "You'll get a good tip if you do that." So my turn came, and Charlie Hook was the big wheel at Armco at the time. I remember, so he gave me a $20 bill. And I thought, wow, I was only making 75 cents an hour out there, so
That was big time.
that was big time.
So just somebody that's going to be watching or listening to this down the road, Armco was a big steel plant here in Middletown.
Right.
And then it became Armco Kawasaki, AK Steel, and now it's Cleveland Cliffs.
That's correct.
And back when you were a kid, that was a big employer here in town, wasn't
Sure
it?
was. That's why my stepdad worked there.
Okay. How long did you work at the airport?
I think about a year and a half, I remember, because I know I was working there, and I asked Jay and John, or Bob, one of the J and B, that's where John and Bob come from. They were my stepdad's brothers. I asked them if they had any work to do, because I knew they'd pay me more than I was making at the airport. And they said, well, we can hire you for about a month, but they said, you're probably better off staying where you are. And I said, nah, I said, I want to make a little bit of money. And I said, if you lay me off, I'll probably go in the military. I was thinking that way already, which I did. I worked for them for about a month, and they laid me off. And there was a recession going on in '58. And anyway, and I went down to Recruiter and signed up for the Air Force, and took a couple months before they called me back to come in.
Where'd you go to sign up?
Somewhere here in Middletown. I don't even remember where it was. There was a recruiting station somewhere here in Middletown.
Why'd you pick the Air Force?
Well, I thought at the time, I'd probably learn something that maybe I could use when I got out. Which I did, but I didn't use it.
So it was a couple months before they called you. So
Yeah.
when they called you, where did you go?
Fort Thomas.
Across the river in Kentucky?
Yep, we got our physical, and from there, I don't remember if I came back home or not for a couple days. It seems like from there, they just put us on a plane and flew me down to Texas.
Where'd you go in Texas?
San Antonio. That's where all the recruits in the Air Force go. They still do.
Well, did you have a girlfriend at the time?
Yeah, I did.
What happened with the girlfriend when you went to the service?
I got a Dear John letter from her when I was in the Air Force.
All right.
She went to college, I went in the Air Force, and she wrote me, she says, I met somebody else, and bye.
What college did she go to?
Ohio University, I think.
Over in Athens?
I think so.
Okay. So that was the end of that romance.
Yeah.
So how long were you down in Texas?
Well, let's see, if I remember right, basic training was 8 weeks. After I got out of basic training, they said you're going to be a medic. They was going to send me to, they did, in fact, send me to basic medical school, which was still at Lackland. And we had a 6-week lap in there for some reason. I guess maybe the class was filled up and they had to wait for another class for me and some other guys that went to the same thing. So after that, I went through that school, and I think that was another 8 weeks. And then after that, I went to Gunter Air Force Base in Alabama for our X-ray school.
Where was Gunter?
Gunter, Gunner, I think that's how it was spelled. That base has been closed years ago.
Well, on your bio, you spelled it Gunter.
Oh, maybe it was. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was Gunter. But anyway, I know the base is closed now, and they had different medical schools there for enlisted men. And X-ray school was there, and that school lasted for 5 months, I think.
Well, did you choose medical, or did they just assign that to you?
I got to choose. We got to choose what we wanted out of basic medical school, according to our scores and our tests and everything. And I don't remember what mine was, but it was still, X-ray was open. And at that time, most of the guys that were in medics, you were going to be a pill pusher and a bedpan emptier. Anyway, I got X-ray. I had a good enough score that I chose X-ray, and I forget what else I could have had really, but I know I was good enough scores to get in that, which I did.
So you were down there in Alabama for about 5 months?
I think so.
Now, let me ask
when I
you
got
this.
out, they sent me to Korea, and me and another guy, Paul Farney, he and I were good friends, and we were both X-ray techs, and we talked about it. And he didn't have. He and I both went to Korea.
Well, let me ask you this: before you went to Korea, did you have a chance for any leave to come home?
Oh yeah, I came home for a month before I went to Korea. Yeah.
How'd you get home?
On a
Train,
bus.
plane?
Yeah.
Bus?
Yeah. Yeah, I came home on a bus. But when I left there, we had to go to Travis Air Force Base, where we got on a plane to go to, we go to Japan really, and I had to lay over there before we went to Korea. But Paul and I, we rode a train out there, because I went up to where he lived was close to Chicago, and I met him at the train station in Chicago, and we got on a train and took this train out to San Francisco.
Now, was that a troop train or was that a regular passenger train?
Just a regular passenger train, yeah.
How long did it take you to get there?
It seemed like it was a couple of days, I think.
Did you have a sleeper or did you have to sleep in your seat?
No. We didn't have the money to get a sleeper.
Sleep
we just
in the
slept in the seats.
Uh-huh. How about, did you have any food on the train?
Yeah, I probably did, but I don't remember what it was. I'm sure we did. A sandwich or something, I don't know, whatever. They probably had to buy it. I don't even remember eating anything, but I'm sure we did.
Were you in uniform?
Yeah. Yeah, I was.
So then you got out to Travis, and how long were you at Travis?
Not very long, maybe a day, 2 days, and got on a plane, and we stopped in Hawaii on the way over for gas. We stopped at Wake Island, and then Japan. Tachikawa Air Base we landed. That's where we landed. I was there for about a week before I went to Korea.
Was that a troop airplane or was that passenger civilian?
Well, it was civilian, though. We flew over the Pacific.
Okay.
It was MATS. They call it Military Air Transport. They had, in fact, it was, what was the name of that plane? I mean, not the name, but the company. I can't remember now. But anyway, it was a civilian plane that we flew over the ocean with.
2-engine or 4-engine?
I think it was a big 4-engine.
Could that have been a Constellation?
Probably.
TWA?
Might have been Trans World Airlines. I'm not sure. All I know is there was nothing but GIs on that.
Okay.
And it was, like I said, I guess the Air Force or the military, they leased those planes, I guess.
So you were in Japan how long? Just a couple days?
I think about a week. I don't know what the reason was, but from Japan to Korea, I flew on I was telling him about a C-130 cargo plane.
Well, when you were in Japan, did you have a chance to do any sightseeing?
Oh yeah. I went down, every day we went down to Tokyo. The base wasn't very far from it, and I took a bus, I think, if I remember. They had buses going back and forth.
Did you have any interaction with any of the Japanese citizens?
Only like in restaurants and stuff to talk to waitresses and stuff.
All right. Did they treat you all right?
Yeah, they treated us great.
Okay.
At that time. One thing that I saw over there, though, that I think is interesting, and I had no idea, there were still Japanese soldiers that had been wounded in the war begging in downtown Tokyo.
Oh, really?
In 1959.
Wow.
And we talked about that, man, that's weird. But they would have their little cup or something, and some of them didn't have any legs, or one leg or whatever, and one arm, but they had their old uniforms on even.
Oh, wow.
I found that very interesting.
Did you get to either of the sites of the atomic bomb?
No, never did. Nope.
So then you took what kind of a plane to get over to Korea?
C-130.
And that was strictly a troop transport?
No, it was a cargo plane. They only had about 10 of us GIs on the plane. And that thing was loaded. In fact, I was telling him the runway headed towards the ocean. And I remember getting on that plane, and that guy revved those 4 engines up, and I thought the plane was going to fall apart the way it sounded. And he let go of those brakes, and we took off, and we kept going and going. I thought we were going into the ocean. But he knew what he was doing. We got off.
Been a little tense there for a while, huh?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I mean, it was so loaded. I was telling him it must have been loaded to capacity for weight, because they had tiers up above which they let down. That was loaded with cargo. Then all underneath from the floor where we were sitting up to the bottom of those things were all loaded with cargo. It was amazing.
So where did you go in Korea?
Well, that plane was too big to land at Osan Air Base, which was headquarters Air Force. It was too heavy, so we had landed at I think it was an Army base up around Seoul, which wouldn't make sense. Why would they have a runway like that? Maybe from the war or something, I don't know. But because I got off the plane and there was a big building there and it had bullet holes in it. Big bomb holes, really.
Uh-huh. And that was the headquarters at one time?
I don't know what that was. I'm not even sure it was an Army base, but I think it was.
Well, how long did you stay?
Anyway, right away we got on a bus and we drove down to Osan where we were stationed.
Is that Osan?
Yes.
And that was where you were stationed in Korea?
That's correct.
All the time you were there?
All the time.
How big a base was it?
Oh, it was big then, but I've looked it up online, and it's huge now.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they even talk about they've improved the runways, and they could have handled that big plane then if they had these runways today. But anyway, we got over there. The hospital and our barrack, we were living in Quonset huts, and the hospital was still Quonset huts from the war.
What were your duties there?
I was an X-ray technician.
Okay. And
one more thing, I was telling him, what was that story I told you about?
About the nuclear
Yeah.
weapons?
About 5 or 6 years ago, I was interested, and I got online and looked up Osan Air Base, and it was telling me all about it. And there was a story on there that in 1959, when I was there at the time, I forget what month it was. I got there in October, and maybe it was November. And well, we had nuclear bombs on that base, and we didn't know. Of course, we didn't have a need to know.
uh-huh.
But anyway, they talked about it. I guess all these planes, the bombers and stuff, because of North Korea was our enemy, they'd carry nuclear weapons in case it was needed. Well, anyway, it talked about online that one of the bombs started leaking radiation or something, and the pilot had to turn around and come back to Osan real quick. And they said nobody got hurt, but it was just a situation they talked about. I guess it's still on there.
Uh-huh.
But and I had no idea we even had nuclear bombs on that base.
It was a need-to-know situation. Huh?
I'm sure it was. Medics, we wouldn't have had any need to know.
Well, what kind of patients were you treating as an X-ray technician there at Osan?
Mostly it was, what do they call them? Like we had to X-ray all the Koreans that worked on base, just as part of their physical, and the pilots we had to X-ray once a year. I think once a year they had to have a physical. Pilots did.
Uh-huh.
One time I was on call one night and I got a call to go in. We needed an X-ray tech and went in, and there was a air policeman there that had his shoulder wrapped up. I found out him and another guy were drunk and they were playing cowboys. And the one air policeman shot the other one, the guy I X-rayed, through the shoulder.
Oh, gee.
And I heard, I'm sure it happened, they court-martialed both of them and kicked them out of the Air Force. But I just heard that. But I would imagine it would have happened then.
Uh-huh. Well, what were your hours, normal hours, each day?
We had crazy hours. Another strange thing about it, we were overstaffed. We were only authorized, I think, 2 X-ray technicians at that time. And when my buddy and I got over there, I think we had 5. We were 4 or 5. So the NCOIC of the X-ray department, a lot of times he'd say, tomorrow morning just stay in bed. Don't even get out of your bunk. He said, there's no use all of us coming in here every day.
Uh-huh.
He said, we'll call you if we need you. That was just weird. And another part, since we were so overstaffed, I got an R&R once, since, like I was telling you, I think it was still considered a battle area, Korea was. Because, they never had, to this day, I don't think they have an armistice.
I think you're right.
And we got extra pay, and I'm pretty sure they called it battle pay. or not combat pay, probably not battle, but combat, 'cause we didn't have any battles. But anyway, and somehow I found out at Tachikawa Air Base they needed X-ray techs. They were understaffed. So I made up my mind when I went to on my R&R, I was going to go to Japan. I was going to go to the hospital and see if I could get transferred over there. Well, I did, and I talked to the head doctor. He was a full bird colonel, I remember, head of the X-ray department. Anyway, I went there and talked to him, and they let me talk to him. He said, man, I'm excited. He said, I know a lot of people in Pacific Air Command. I think I can get you transferred over here. Because I told him the situation where we were. I said, okay. He said, we'll call you either way. But he said, I think I can do it. After I got back to Korea, one of the staff called me and says, forget it, you're stuck there and we're stuck with not enough people.
Oh, gee.
Isn't that something?
That's the way the military goes.
I remember I told that doctor, I said, I'll extend my duty in the Far East or anything to get over here. I'd rather be here than in Korea. He thought he could do it, but he didn't. He wasn't big enough, I guess, but he was a full bird colonel.
Well, how was the weather there at Osan?
It wasn't bad. Osan was right at pretty much sea level.
Uh-huh.
We were close to the Yellow Sea, I think it was, that would have been the west side of Korea, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And I never did get over to that ocean part, but we had a little snow that winter. I was there, but not much.
How was the food there?
Oh, the hospital mess was very good.
Uh-huh.
In fact, we used to have Army guys. I guess for some reason they'd have to come down to our base, and they loved to come down and eat there. We had good chow.
Uh-huh. And were you in a Quonset hut for your
No,
where you lived?
well, for a while, like I was telling him, I think they got the hospital. Well, they had another bad story about it. They had Korean contractors build that new hospital, and when they turned the water on, all the water pipes leaked, and they ruined a bunch of medical equipment. So we had, I think, about a 2-month delay before we got in there because they had to buy new equipment and stuff. Well, anyway, I think I got there in October of '59. I think we moved into that new hospital in March, or maybe March or April of '60. And that's when we started functioning out of that new hospital. And they also, when they built that new hospital, they built us new barracks. We got rid of the Quonset huts. So from then on until I left, we were in a new hospital, and I was in new barracks.
So in the barracks, did you have single facility, or did you have a bunk buddy, or what?
Oh, we had bunk beds, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
How many guys were in a room?
Oh, wow. 20, I don't know. It seemed like maybe 20. I'm not sure.
Okay.
It was just bunks, and it was almost like being in basic training again, because that's what we had down there in Lackland.
Okay. While you were over there, did you have any visits from any USO groups, any entertainment?
Nope. Not that I recall. I did when I got back to the States. I went to some USO stuff.
Well, what did you do over in Korea when you had downtime?
Go down to the Airman's Club and drink.
Mm-hmm.
We did. One of the X-ray techs got his driver's license to drive an ambulance, and he could check one out because he had it. Anyway, him and me and another guy, maybe it was Paul Farney, probably was. We went up to Seoul and to see the sights and stuff, and somehow we learned they had the restaurants we could eat in then were designated because I guess some of them weren't very good for food, but I remember eating some of the best chicken I ever had in my life up there in Seoul.
Uh-huh.
It was so good. I don't know how it was fixed, but it was good.
While you were over there in Korea, did you correspond at home at all?
Oh, yeah. In fact, at Christmas of '59, my mother and stepdad and my half-brother and sister, I got to talk to them on the phone.
That was a real treat, wasn't it?
Yes. I don't know how that was broadcast then, but they had a place where we could call, because a lot of the guys did. They called home or their family called them, so they'd pay for it and stuff.
Well, Did you write letters home, or did your mom write to you?
Oh yeah, I wrote to my mother, and I even would write to my brother and sister once in a while. They get a kick. My brother was born in 1950. He was 10 years old when I was born. I mean, I was 10 years old when he was born.
Uh-huh.
And my sister was born a couple years later, but they were a lot younger than me, and they enjoyed talking to me and so on, writing letters.
Did Mom or your sisters keep any of your letters?
I don't know. I'll have to ask my sister.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if she did or not.
Well, that'd be interesting to know.
Yeah.
Where'd she live?
She lives over by Morrow now.
Morrow,
They
Ohio?
they live out in the country.
Next time you talk to her, ask her if she has any room.
Yeah, I will.
Or maybe she have kept some that you had sent your mom.
You might have. But I wrote my mother and them, like I say, and I had an Aunt Gladys. I was very close to her, and I'd write her some.
Did you have any unusual experiences as an X-ray technician with any particular patients or any situations that come to mind?
Just that over there in Korea was just that air policeman who was shot.
Uh-huh.
I did have I was telling him another story. This doesn't have anything to do with being an X-ray tech, but I was almost attacked by one of our sentry dogs once. When we were still living in Quonset huts, we had the latrine was. We had sidewalks. We could walk from our barracks down to have to go to John's. So one night I had to go. It was, I don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning probably. And I went down and I was on my way back to the barracks, and I heard somebody say, "Heel, heel." And I turned around, this big German Shepherd was just lumbering right towards me.
Oh.
And I froze. And the air police was right behind him, and he grabbed me real quick, just a few seconds. He said, "I'm glad you froze." He said, "He thought you were the enemy or something. He was going to attack you." He said, "He's a young dog," and he said, "I don't know." He said, "I don't know if he's going to make it or not," or something like that. I forget everything he said, but it didn't even scare me until after it was over.
Uh-huh.
That was an experience.
Well, I interviewed a guy from the Second World War that was same position you were in. He had the opportunity to X-ray General Patton, which was a good story.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah.
But when we get back to the States, I got that one a story about, what's his name? The guy that broke the sound barrier, first one. I've got it written down here. What's his name?
Chuck Yeager.
Chuck Yeager, that's it. I couldn't remember his name.
Well, how long were you over in Korea?
13 months.
How did you get back to the States? Fly?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't. In fact, they had not C-130s. That's a big one I flew over on. I flew back in a little. What was those planes? In fact, it was the same style plane that Armco had when I was working at the airport out here. It was a small. They only hold maybe 25 or 30 people at the most. What are those? In fact, I think Armco bought that one from the military that they had out there. What were those called? Anyway, I forget what they. But anyway, I flew from Korea back to Tachikawa, and then got on a MATS plane again, and flew back to the States.
Where'd you land here in the States?
Travis Air Force Base.
And how long were you there?
A couple of days, maybe.
Then where'd you go?
I was stationed at Oxnard Air Force Base in California. But I came home on leave for about, I think, a month. Then I went back out to California and Oxnard Air Force Base.
Where's Oxnard in relation to any big city?
Well, it's about 50 miles from L.A. Up along Route 101, Interstate 101. It's right along the ocean. It's closed too.
How long were you at Oxnard?
Well, from when I got there after Korea until I got discharged in September of '62. I did go on TDY one time to a base up by San Francisco, Hamilton Air Force Base. I was up there 3 months. I don't know if that was 61 or 62.
And for somebody that's not familiar with that, what is TDY?
Temporary duty assignment.
Okay. What'd you do up there?
X-ray. They were understaffed. that's another place that was understaffed with X-ray techs, and they were calling around wanting some help. And I went up there once, and a couple of the other guys went up once too. I was only up there 3 months.
But that was that better to be at an understaffed place than an overstaffed place?
Well, I liked it better because it was a big hospital. There at Oxnard, it was just like a dispensary. We had some beds we could use if somebody came in and was hurt bad enough or whatever that, needed to have a bed, but we didn't even have a full bed hospital. They had, I think, 50 bed. That was a 50 bed hospital up by San Francisco. What I liked about it, I learned more. Because the way it had been, even in Korea, we just didn't do a lot of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I was thinking then maybe I'd be an X-ray tech when I got out. So anyway, it didn't work out that way. But still, I learned more at Hamilton Air Force Base about more complicated X-ray stuff than any place else I was.
And that's the one where you were for 3 months?
Yes.
Did you consider staying in after your 2 years?
Well, my commanding officer, and I can't remember his name. I don't know if it's on that DD 214 or not, but I can't. He was a captain, all I remember. And he, in fact, when he knew I was going up to Hamilton, he had to go up to Hamilton for some reason. He said, "You can ride with me, and you can stick that money in your pocket," which I did. And on the way up, so it might have been 62 when I went up there, because he tried his darndest to get me to re-enlist. And I kept telling him, "No, I'm going to try civilian life." He said, "If you'll re-enlist, I promise you I'll make you a staff sergeant." But I stuck to it. I thought, no, I'm going to get out.
So you had basic medical between November 58 and January 59, then radiology specialist February of 59 to July of 59.
That was 5 months in, wasn't it? I did remember that right.
There's a name of Thomas Vaderloss, first lieutenant.
No, the guy that was in charge of our hospital, well, I call it a hospital, dispensary, was a captain. I can't remember his name. Well, I know he was a captain. And I know he drove me up to Hamilton, which he had to go up there anyway for some reason.
So what company, regiment, division, or battalion were you attached to?
Well, they didn't call them that in the Air Force. 60-40, wait a minute, excuse me, I'm going to lay this down. I've got some information here about the hospital.
You got 414 U.S. AF.
That was probably Oxnard. Was that Oxnard? That's probably, because let's see, that was really my main base. Korea was 6045th USAF Hospital, Osan Air Base, Korea. I'm pretty sure that was what it was. But they don't even have that on there, I don't think. They don't even have Korea on there.
No.
They just have overseas duty or something like that.
But they do have you released from active duty out of Oxnard,
yes.
OXNARD.
Yeah. I had an interesting experience there at Oxnard, though. One time, they bought some body bags in. 2 pilots, well, probably a pilot and a co-pilot, I'm guessing. I don't know what kind of plane they were in or not, but they ran into a mountain, killed them both. And they wanted us to x-ray them from head to foot as part of an autopsy, which even some of the doctors said, I don't know why they want to x-ray for autopsy, but anyway, we did. So we had, he said, the only thing you have to do is unzip the bag. We don't want that zipper showing up or anything. So, man, that's when we got the dead smell. I'll never forget that smell. I've heard other guys talk about it.
Uh-huh.
It's something different. But anyway, we x-rayed them, and that was it. They took them. I don't know where they even took them. I don't even know if they were some of our pilots or someplace. I never did find out.
Was there anything unusual about the x-ray results?
Well, just not really. I mean, they said they had, the way they had crashed, they had so many broken bones in both of their bodies. It was just unbelievable.
Okay. How old were they?
Oh, they were
20s, 30s, 40s?
I'd guess maybe in their 20s. We had, what was the planes we had there at Oxnard? F-101s, and I think they had two people in that, so maybe it was one of those planes. I'm not even sure. All I know, they said they ran into a mountain. Never knew their names or anything.
Well, what was your military designation rank-wise when you got out of service?
Airman first class. That's 3 stripes.
And when did you get that?
I made Airman second class in Korea. When you go in, you're Airman basic, you have no stripes. And when I got out of basic training, I think I made my first stripe when I was in X-ray school. So anyway, I know I made Airman second in Korea, and then probably late in '61 is when I made Airman first class there at Oxnard.
What kind of, did you get any special privileges being Airman third class?
You mean Airman first class?
Airman first class, I mean.
Yeah, you made more money.
How much you make a month?
I think I was making $175 a month when I got out.
What'd you do with your money? Did you send any home, or you put it in an account for yourself?
No, I had a bank account there on the base.
Uh-huh. So what'd you do when you got home?
Look for a job. Like I said, I met Becky. That's her in my picture over there. She died 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years in January. Still miss her. Anyway,
where'd you meet Becky?
Her dad worked at Chartles here in Middletown. I don't know if you ever heard of that company or not. I don't think they're even here anymore.
What was it?
Chartle Brothers.
No, how do you spell that?
I don't know.
What'd they do?
Well, they made equipment for paper companies.
And we had several here in town.
Yeah. But anyway, he worked for them. I mean, he told me the story. He worked for Mokri. They made stuff for the war, during the war. And I guess that's why he never had, well, he had Becky too, and maybe that was the reason he didn't have, but whatever. He worked 2 jobs during the war, he told me. He said he worked there at Chartles during the daytime. He was a welder then at that time too. And he'd go over to Mokri and work till 10, 11 o'clock at night. But anyway, when I was looking for a job, because I met Becky, I got home in September, and I met her in October.
Where'd you meet her?
Frisch's.
Frisch's?
Yeah. Yeah, a buddy of mine.
Was she working there or what?
No. She was there with a friend of hers. George Payne was a good buddy of mine in high school, and he had gotten out of college then, and he was a school teacher, but he wasn't working yet. Anyway, he was driving one night, and we went through Frisch's, and he said, I know those 2 girls over there. He said, I'm going to park this thing, we'll go over and talk to them. And he introduced me to Becky, and the rest is history.
Payne is spelled P-A-Y-N-E, wasn't it?
Yes.
For some reason, that name sticks in my head.
Well, but his brother was a big football and basketball player for the Middies.
Okay.
And he played basketball for the Middies.
Okay, maybe that's why I remember it.
He was on during my high school, being in high school, the Middies won 79 straight basketball games before they lost one. Maybe you remember that.
I do.
Do you?
I do.
But
So
George was a little guy, and I know we didn't see each other for several years. In fact, he was the best man at my wedding when Becky and I got married. But anyway, we kind of lost touch with each other for. But when we got back together, we still go out to lunch now together and stuff sometimes. But I asked him, I said, I thought you played first string. And he said, I never did play first string. He said, all Paul Walker wanted me for was to get the ball sometimes if they needed to get the ball fast. He was little and he could steal the ball, I guess.
Uh-huh. Well, tell me a little bit about Becky. Now, you said you met her at Frisch's, and the rest was history, but what'd you do date-wise? How long did you date her?
We dated. She was more skeptical of me than I was of her. I knew I wanted to marry her. And we met I know it was October, I don't know what day, of 62, and we didn't get married till May of 64. she wanted to be sure, and but anyway, we were married.
Where did you work then? Between
Well, in January of '63, I hired in a Frigidaire.
Okay. How'd you get
Like I said, I was going to tell you, my father-in-law, which became my father-in-law, he recommended. He said, "Why don't you try to get an apprenticeship somewhere?" He said, "I'm sure you're a smart guy, and you seem like blah blah blah, whatever." And he said, "I'd recommend General Motors." He said, "See if you can get on General Motors. They pay so well, I understand." So anyway, I went to GM, and I went to Armco, and they weren't hiring anybody at the time, and GM, I was telling him the story. I went into the hiring office, and it was packed that day. And I waited in line till I got up to the window, and I told that lady, I said, "I'm interested in an apprenticeship." She said, "You are?" She said, "Step over here." And they put me in an office, and a guy came in and interviewed me ahead of a lot of people. A lot of guys, I guess they just wanted jobs. I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't know what apprenticeship I wanted, but I knew I wanted an apprenticeship. Anyway, and they interviewed me and set me up for a test and so on. And in January, they called me and hired me.
What kind of test did you have to go through?
Well, it was just a written test.
Okay.
I was a millwright apprentice. They hired me as a millwright apprentice, a 4-year program. And when I got out, I was a journeyman, and I stayed there for 34 years.
So during that first 4 years, what were your hours, day and night?
Oh, I worked day shift. I was the first apprentice they had hired, and there was a lot of World War II guys working there then. I mean, a lot of them. But anyway, they hadn't hired anybody as apprentice for a long time, and I worked day shift. But every Wednesday, I'd only work 4 hours, and I'd go up to Patterson Co-op in Dayton for my schooling for apprenticeship. And that's how that worked at that time. And an amazing thing to me, when I hired in, apprentices weren't even in the union. But a couple of years after I was an apprentice, the union got us in.
What union were you in?
International Union of Electrical Workers.
IBEW?
No, it wasn't the IBE. IUE. It was the IUE.
Okay.
That's the designated what they went by.
How about, did you establish any friendships with any of the World War II guys?
Oh, yeah. Harry Fitzgerald was the main one. He was he was an ex-Marine of World War II in the Pacific. He didn't talk about it much, but he saw a lot of combat. And I remember one time, he knew I was in the Air Force. We talked a lot. And I remember saying to him, he said, sometimes I think I missed something not being in war. He said, "You didn't miss a damn thing." He said, "You didn't miss anything." He said, you've heard the terms. It's everything you could think of. And it's not good. But he was quite a man.
Well, while you were that 4-year apprenticeship, did you work on all kinds of machines?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, as a millwright, our main machine that we worked on were the conveyors. We had, what did they say? It seemed like we had 30 miles of conveyor in that building at that time. It was incredible.
You remember
but we moved machinery. We were also, I know down at Armco they had riggers. Well, up there at Frigidaire, we were the riggers. We moved machinery, and if they wanted to move around for whatever reason, we'd move them, and we troubleshooted. Sometimes I was on a troubleshooting gang for a while, stuff like that.
What kind of product were you making there at GM?
Oh, at that time, Frigidaire made refrigerators, they made stoves, they made air conditioners. What else? It was hard work, I'll tell you. As far as I'm concerned, well, I got hurt once at Frigidaire too.
How'd that happen?
Well, we were working on Plant 5. We were going to rebuild a conveyor over there. And my buddy, the apprentice, I was still I wasn't a journeyman yet. And he said, "Get up there and measure that bowl wheel." He said, "We got to know what that is so we can know what size to get." And I got up on that screen guard around the conveyor, and I had my tape out, and all of a sudden I hit the ground. the screen guard broke, and I went, Choo!
Oh,
My
wow.
foreman caught my head, or I probably wouldn't be here today.
Wow.
I hit my butt, and I was going back, and it was concrete floor, and my back of my head would have hit that, and my foreman grabbed me like behind my head and caught it. But I had a crack in my back then. I was in a hospital in a couple days, and they called me back in. Frigidaire did. After a week, I was only home and everything a week, and I must not have been in the union then, because they brought me back and put me on a telephone for 3 months. I didn't have to do any work for 3 months.
So they wanted to keep you on the payroll at light duty.
Right. They
Not have to
didn't
pay your
want
workers.
something about
Not have to pay your workers'
and in
comp.
fact, something about an injury. It had something to do with their insurance too, I think.
Yep.
At that time, that was before what do they call it now? OSHA.
OSHA, yeah.
That was before OSHA.
Well, Mark used to work for the state of Ohio in workers' comp, and
Oh, did you?
also in our firm, so he knows all about those self-insured employers.
I think OSHA came around in '66, maybe.
I think
It wasn't long after that.
I think they were in the 70s, but I'm not sure.
It might have been. But anyway, it's a good, strange story about it. When I fell, and I know when it was, not today, but I was in November of '65. I know that because my oldest daughter was born in December of '65. And that's how I remember that so well, when I fell.
Did you recover from that, or did you have permanent back problem?
Well, I did, but I didn't realize it at the time, and I don't know if it did or not. Millwright work is hard, heavy, a lot of heavy work, and I had hurt my back even lifting stuff a few times after that. I had my first back operation in '77, the year we moved here. Well, before we moved here, but it was the same year.
Well, tell me about Becky. You guys got married in what year?
May the 2nd of 1964.
64. Where'd you get married?
Here in Middletown, St. John's Catholic Church.
Okay.
Down on First Avenue.
Was she Catholic? You Catholic, or both?
She was Catholic.
Okay.
I joined the Catholic Church then too.
Okay. So did you maintain membership in that parish?
Yeah, for years. Yep.
Where'd you guys first live when you got married?
Manchester Avenue. We lived above I rented an apartment above Dr. What was that doctor's name? He's long gone. I can't remember. My brain doesn't function half the time. Anyway, the doctor's office down there, and he up above his office, he had a room that he rented out, and that's where I rented it. And then when we got married, that's where we lived for a while. Let's see, Suzanne was born when we lived there.
So when was that? Suzanne was born
She was
when?
born in December the 3rd, 1965. And we moved from there. We rented a house out on Hendricks Road. You know where that is? It's still part of. It's still in the Middletown. I'm probably not talking loud enough. It's in the Middletown city limits, but it's almost into Warren County.
Okay.
It's out towards Old 25.
All right.
Anyway, we lived there for. Let's see. We bought our house on the first house we bought was on Aberdeen, right over here. In '67, we bought that house. When Becky and I got married, she worked at the telephone company, Ohio Bell. She was a operator. You know,
Switchboard
probably seen these where they have these cords and everything. You call in the long distance, you had to play. Yeah,
Plug them in.
that's what she did.
So she's a switchboard operator.
That's it, switchboard operator. That's what she was.
And how long did Suzanne do that?
You mean Becky?
Oh yeah, Becky.
Oh, I don't. She worked there before I met. She was working there when I met her,
Okay.
and she worked there. Let's see. Well, we got married in May of '62, and Suzanne was born in December of '65. So that's when she quit. To have Suzanne, she never went back.
So after she started,
She worked there 4 or 5 years.
After you and Becky had any children, did she work outside the home at all?
Yeah, later on, when the girls got bigger, she worked at John 23rd grade school. She was a cook there for, I don't know. In fact, she had enough time when she quit when I had my second operation. No, when I had my neck operation. That's when she quit, because that was an operation that could have killed me, I guess. I don't know. You want to know about that now?
I was going to ask you, why'd you have a neck operation?
Well, I had what's called a congenital defect, and we were down in Tennessee when it really came on.
On vacation?
Yes, we were going to my oldest daughter, Suzanne. They live there now in Columbia, South Carolina. We were going down to visit them, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and my neck was killing me. And I thought, well, I told Becky, I said, I'm going to go in and take a shower. I said, maybe that'll make it feel better. And it made it feel worse. So Suzanne's an RN, so Suzanne called her, and she said, well, you're close enough. Come on down here. She said, it's probably just a pinched nerve or something. She said, I'll get him a doctor or do whatever we have to do. Well, I spent the rest of that week, everybody else had fun, and I was in bed. Finally, she said, I got to take you to the hospital. There's something bad wrong. And she did. They couldn't, the hospital there in Columbia, they couldn't find anything wrong. Well, anyway, I got back here to Middletown and went to my doctor, and he sent me to Dr. Onkiko. I don't know if you ever heard of him or not.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he was, he's not practicing anymore, but he was, in fact, I think he was in the Army Reserve. Because I heard that he was second or third in line to work on the President of the United States, if need be.
All right.
I'd heard that, but whatever. Anyway, he operated on my neck, and he had
what was the problem?
It was what's called a congenital defect, which he told me. He said, you've had this since birth. That's what congenital means.
Yeah.
He said, you've had this since birth, but it's never bothered you because now your arthritis is getting worse. And he said, you know that little knob that your cervical your head spins on? He said, it's ready to break off.
Huh.
I said, what happens then? He said, you're either dead or paralyzed from the neck down. I said, that's nice. He said, I'm going to put you in this brace. And he said, I got to do some talking to some friends of mine. He said, my first inclination is to put rods in your neck where you won't be able to even move your neck. But he said, I don't want to do that. Anyway, he said he had some friends that were surgeons too, and he wanted to talk to them and see if they could come up with something better. And what he wound up doing, taking a piece of bone out of my hip, put it in my neck, and wiring it together, and that's the way it is now.
And solved the problem?
Yeah, I mean, it's been good shape. I can move it. I can move a little bit. Still, I feel a little bit just because of the situation, but it doesn't really hurt.
Were you working at GM at the time?
Yeah, I was. Yep. And that operation didn't cost me nothing.
Tell me a little bit about Suzanne. What's her last name now?
Zelling.
And she lives where in Tennessee?
Columbia, South Carolina.
She have children?
Yes, they have a daughter.
What's her husband's name?
Alex.
What's he do?
He's got a couple of businesses, and she has her own business down there now.
What's she do?
She's her and another woman went into business. They have a home health care business.
Okay.
They have mostly Medicaid patients, but she has 120 to 150 employees all the time.
Wow.
She's pretty big.
Yeah. So then your next daughter, what's her name?
Michelle. She was born July the 8th, 1968.
So
She used to live right over here in Point Siena. They just moved out to off of 122 on Moisman Road. They're still in the process of emptying all the boxes and everything. They just moved a couple of weeks ago.
She was born in when? 68?
Yeah. July the 8th.
32.
Now I think it was the 8th. I'm not sure whether it's the 8th or the 9th, but I think it's the 8th.
So she'd be about...
She's 57 now.
Yeah. You got down here on your bio, she's 53, so she's older than what you wrote down.
Oh, yeah. Back then, that's what she was then.
She's 57 now?
Yeah.
And Suzanne, you've got down here 56.
Suzanne's 59. She'll be 60.
So we'll just
in
add
December.
three years to both of those.
Yeah.
Did both your daughters graduate from Middletown?
Yeah, Suzanne graduated from Fenwick.
Okay.
And Michelle, I don't even remember why we did it, but anyway, she went to Fenwick through junior, and she, for some reason, she didn't want to go there anymore. So, and Becky, we talked about. Anyway, we let her go to. She graduated from Middletown High School.
Okay.
For her final year.
So, what'd you say? Becky died 10 years ago?
Yeah, it was January the 15th, 2016.
So,
She had cancer.
you live here by yourself?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And what do you do? When did you retire? What year did you retire?
Well, it'll be 29 years, December 31st of this year.
And what do you do for entertainment?
Well, I used to do a lot. Now, about all I do is watch TV, and I got to have an operation in my cataract. I'm going to have a cataract operation here pretty soon. And I'm not seeing very well now. But anyway, I watch TV, and George and I go out for a lot of times for lunch and stuff.
That was George Payne?
Yes.
Well,
And I go to that meeting over there. You see me at. You go to that meeting over in Trenton.
well, let's talk about that meeting. The meeting is the Veteran Social Command.
Right.
And they meet once
Don
a week.
Saylor and Larry Reynolds is one got me to go over there.
And they were both World War II vets.
Right. Well, you've interviewed both of them.
I did.
You remember them, I'm sure.
I do.
Yeah.
And it's just a social group. There's no membership. There's no fees. But
Right.
you've got over 1,000 fellas that are
Yeah, we sure
recorded
do.
at that group.
I'm just so honored to be a part of it. In fact, George, my friend, he goes to church over there, and he told me about that before I even met Don and Larry.
Uh-huh.
And they're the one that got me to go, because I said, well, I was never in combat. I said, I bet most of them are Vietnam veterans. They said, well, they are. But he said, you don't have to be. All you need to be is a veteran. So finally, I agreed to go with them. I've been going ever since. That was probably 5 years ago, no more than that. Because I think Larry's been gone 5 years. So probably 6, 7 years ago is when I started going.
Yeah. But when you were younger, after you retired, what kind of things did you do to stay active?
Fish.
Where'd you fish?
I love to fish. Man, I loved it. Well, while I was still working, I used to work with a World War II veteran. By the time let's see, what was his name? It goes in my brain. I got to remember his name. Noel Stockslager. And he had a boat, and I used to go up to the Great Lakes with him a lot. We'd fish in Lake Erie for walleye, and we went up to Lake Huron and fished for salmon.
Uh-huh.
And I used to do that. But growing up, my Uncle John Strait started taking me fishing with him and his wife when I was about 10, 11 years old. And they like to fish Twin Creek. Twin Creek is one that goes to the Germantown Dam. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not.
Okay.
And to this day, after I retired, I fished a lot up there. Wade in the creek, I'd get Helgramites or soft crawls and fish.
Uh-huh.
I just love Twin Creek. It's so much fun, just wading in the creek. But like I said, I fished with Noel a lot. We went up there. Fished with him a lot. I don't know how many times we went, but he retired before I did. But anyway, even after he retired, we went for a while.
Well, since you had been on some basketball teams at Middletown, have you continued to follow them since you've been home?
No, I don't follow Middletown Middies much. I follow Ohio State basketball and football.
Uh-huh. Okay.
A good friend of mine went up there, and in fact, a couple times while I was home on leave, I'd go visit him. Dan Yount. In fact, Dan Yount was in that car that we rolled over. I forgot to say his name.
Y-O-U-N-T?
Y-O-U-N-T, yes.
Uh-huh. Is Dan still living?
No, he died. The driver, what's his name? golly, I see him. We gotta go to lunch with them once in a while. Isn't that awful? I'll think of it in a second. My brain's foggy right now for some reason.
Hey, I can relate to that. Well, is there anything about your civilian life or your military life that you think somebody listening to this 25 or 30 years from now would be interested in knowing about you or your family?
Well, my wife had an uncle that was killed in Okinawa in World War II in early 1945. I don't know if that's what stuff you're talking about or not. But
Well, was he a Marine or Army?
he was Army, from what I understand. Yeah, yeah. As I know, her mother would talk about. They sent 2 soldiers to the house to tell him, and that's how they found out
Yeah.
back then. My dad, my real father, he had 2 brothers that were paratroopers in Europe in World War II. I think they were both in the 101st Airborne. I didn't know them much because, like I said, my mom got divorced when I was very young, and up until Becky and I were married, then I got to know my dad again.
Did you ever get together with any of the fellows that you were in the service with?
Only one guy. One guy came to visit me once. It's been 20 years ago. He was on his way. He lives in California. I guess he's still alive. We kind of lost track. What was his name? Anyway, he pulled up one time and called me, and I went out to lunch with him. And I was retired then, so it's been about 20 years ago, maybe.
Uh-huh.
What was his name? Steve Lafko. He was from New Jersey, and we were in the Air Force together there at Oxnard. He was an X-ray tech also.
Uh-huh.
In fact, he and I are the ones that X-rayed those dead bodies together.
Interesting. You know, sometimes my camera people have questions. Mark, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask Jim?
Well, sure. One thing I'm interested in is what sort of technology did they have in X-ray back in the time you were in Korea when you were doing this?
Well, we had what at the time would have been considered a pretty sophisticated X-ray machine, but I know nowadays they don't even have to. The X-ray techs don't even have to mix chemical. We had to mix all of our chemicals and put the film on hangers and put them in the mixtures and everything, to develop them.
Take them in a dark
developing
room?
Solutions and stuff.
You have a dark room that you had?
Oh yeah, we had a dark room, and like I said, that I'm sure that I don't know how new that X-ray machine we had over there was really. Of course, when we moved into the new hospital, we had a brand new machine, and I remember it was more sophisticated. It worked better than that one we had in the Quonset huts.
Right. It was probably state of the art at that
Yeah,
time.
probably was. I'm sure it was at that time, the one we had in the hospital then.
But it was all basic X-rays?
Yeah.
They didn't have like CAT scans or any of that kind of stuff?
No, we
Yeah.
didn't have that over there,
That's
no.
Many years later, yeah. Was there any sort of special procedures?
I'm not sure. I don't know when CAT scans and stuff came about,
Yeah.
but if it was available, then they would have had it in the huge hospitals, like
Right.
maybe up at Wright Pat, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But we didn't even have anything like that at the Hamilton, and that was if I remember right, a 50-bed hospital.
Was there anything known, any sort of special procedures done at that time, or was it pretty much basic X-rays?
Well, they were all special. But I mean, I can remember the jaws, and some of this stuff was pretty complicated to make sure you got the right position and everything at that time. I don't know if it's easier now or not, but that's why I wanted to go to Hamilton, because I learned more about some of the stuff I hadn't even been schooled in and said school, the X-ray school, But I was only there 3 months, but I did learn quite a bit. But back to Middletown Hospital, they would have hired me. I went out there, and they said, "Yeah, we'll hire you, $1 an hour." And I hired in General Motors, $2.32 an hour as a tech.
That was big money back that time.
Oh man, you're talking about big. That was over double what I would have got as an X-ray tech. But they didn't. I don't know what the top technicians at that time made like a Middletown hospital. But that wasn't tops, I'm sure. I got the impression they didn't think I probably was good enough being in the Air Force or something, so, which they were probably right, because the way I described, I mean, we just didn't do a lot, because like over there in Korea, we just didn't have it. Mm-hmm. Most of everything we did in Korea was at chest X-rays.
Do they have any of the either equipment or planes or anything you're familiar with from the airport up to the museum in Dayton?
Oh, I'm sure they do. I bet they got a C-130.
Oh, yeah.
I was up there once. Man, it's been 40, 50 years ago. It's been a long time since I was there. So I don't remember too much about it. Of course, I'm sure they have planes there now that they didn't have there then.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Big place.
Have you been up there recently?
A couple times.
Have you?
Yeah. And yeah, they've got, I haven't seen 25% of the place. I mean, it's huge.
But I don't have anything that I can say about the Air Force. I mean, I've told you just about everything. I don't think I've forgotten anything that I consider kind of interesting or whatever, but it's just really my X-ray tech, being an X-ray tech when I was in, because we were always so overstaffed, it was boring a lot of times. And like I said, over in Korea, our NCOIC would tell us, stay in your bunk, don't come in tomorrow. He said, I'll come in and this guy, and next day we'll have somebody else come in. It was crazy.
Besides Chuck Yeager, did you do any other?
Oh, Chuck Yeager, yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Did you do any other big wigs or?
Well, now wait a minute. Let me tell you the story there, because I'm not sure I saw him. I think I did. I told you this. Maybe you don't remember. One time at Oxnard, this guy came in. He was a pilot. I knew he was a pilot. That's all I knew. And they gave us paperwork, but I didn't even look at what his name was. Anyway, when he left, my buddy Steve Lafko, I think was the guy that told me, he said, do you know who that was? I said, no, who was it? He said, it's Chuck Yeager. And I knew the name. I said, you're kidding me. He said, no. He said, it was. So I guess it was, but I couldn't prove it right now. But I did look up online, though. It was another thing I've done recently about Chuck Yeager. And he was at that big base that was, east of me, Oxnard, and this base was, what's the name of that big base out there in Calif? It's about 100 miles from us. In fact, it's where I went to get my wisdom teeth pulled. Just a second, I'm going to lay this down. I got it written down here, because I knew I'd probably forget the name of it. Because I looked it up.
Columns? Looks like 29 columns. There's something there.
Edwards Air Force Base.
Oh, Edwards, sure.
He was there when I was at Oxnard. So my guess would be that was such a big base. I don't know how big the hospital was there, but probably huge. So I'm guessing that he probably knew that he could get through his annual physical quicker at Oxnard. Nobody's hearing me now. I'm thinking he could probably have gotten through his annual physical quicker at Oxnard than he could there. So he must have flown over, and maybe he drove. I don't know what happened. But that's the story. And like I say, I guess it was him, unless Steve was wrong.
Close enough. Yeah, that's all I can think of. So.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to mention that. And
Yeah.
But he was there at Edwards Air Force Base when I was there, according to what's online.
Yeah. Probably was.
Well, I think we just about covered everything we needed to cover. And if you can't think of anything else, I can't think of anything else.
Well, I'm just
Jim,
honored to do this.
let me thank you for doing this, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Pat. And what's your name again? I'm sorry.
Mark.
Mark. Thank you both. I appreciate it. I'm honored to do this. I still feel like I'm not worthy, but like the guys out there at the meeting, of some of the guys been in combat, I tell them, they say, it wasn't your fault you weren't in combat.